So we're here in White Sulfur Springs, and this is one of the areas that was hardest hit by the flooding. The water level in some of these houses across the street was all the way up to the roof line, so they're completely devastated. Some of these folks had flood insurance and other ones didn't. The ones that didn't, most of them don't have the funds to be able to rebuild. The water was all the way up to the roof line of the porch on the house we're looking at right now, and it just ripped the roof of the porch right off. And there's nothing but devastation all around here, and this is about a week and a half after the actual flood. If you look right down this street, you'll see just an empty slab of concrete, and that's where an apartment building was just completely taken away by the flood. The homeowner of the property where I'm standing right now had a white SUV, and it was sitting in his driveway right where the white van is right now, and it was pushed by the water into this tree and then ended up down the street right down there where that telephone pole is. So it's an absolutely devastated area. He was in the house with his three boys and his wife and his pets, and he had to contemplate if he was going to have to swim for it, and he could only rescue one, which one he was going to rescue if it came down to that. So it's not the type of situation you want to be in and not be right with God and not know where you're going to go if the next breath you take is your last. So it's something you want to consider now while you have time. And we'll have some more video footage later. And we're here with Donovan. Donovan, you want to tell us about where you guys are from and what you're doing here and why you're here?
We're from Newcastle, Pennsylvania, and we're here helping out with the flood victims in West Virginia. We're here because we could come. We know we had the ability this weekend. We have some loving wives who stayed home and watched our children. And it says in John, if you have food and shelter and those around you don't, then the love of the Lord's not in you if you don't go help them out. So we just had the ability, had the time, so we came down and just knew it was the right thing to do and what the Lord wanted us to do, and He provided. So we're here helping out. And what we've been doing is we go into a home of a homeowner that's recently been affected by the flood. And if the waters come into their home, we'll go in and do everything from the floor up to 4 feet, tear out all their walls. If they've been affected higher than that, then we'll tear the ceiling, the whole way up to the ceiling, rip all their hardwood out. And some of these homes have basements in them, and those basements had water the whole way up to the ceiling. And with a flood like this, it comes in and just is completely filled with mud, anywhere from 4 inches up to a foot. And we'll take that and shovel it all out and carry the carpet out and take all their furniture out. And but what we mostly do is try to love on the people that home belongs to. Take time to talk to them and hear their story and pray with them. There's a whole nother team here that's all they do. They just go around and they pray with people and love on them. And that's what we try to do, be the hands and feet of Christ, and in the same time just show His love in a way that expresses our faith and allows them to just see what the love of Christ is like, that we're not just here to rip their house apart, but help them start anew and help be the part of that first step of that recovery. That's what we're here trying to do.
Awesome. Well, praise God, and thanks so much for serving.
Yeah, thanks.
So here's the house we've been working on for the past 2 days. We've got the drywall out of the add-on area and the lower part of the garage, and they've scooped about 4 inches of mud out of the basement, which was a finished basement. I think they still got to get the carpet out of there. And here we are on the street of the house we've been working on, which most of these houses on this side are just completely not salvageable at all. The water lines all the way up to the roof in many cases. Even the sidewalk, the current was so strong, it washed the dirt out from underneath the sidewalk, and then in sections it actually picked up the sidewalk and it's actually washed away some of the asphalt. So these currents, when you get these floodwaters and these currents are just ripping through there, and it's something that even just a few inches can sweep you off your feet and pull you away. So it's something that when you see floodwaters and draining, you just want to stay away from it and do whatever you can to get to a high position to try to avoid it. There's still over a week later, we still have search and rescue teams out with dogs. There's still missing bodies. There's a little 14-year-old girl that still hasn't been found, and they need to find her because the family can't even move on without having that closure of being able to find that body. And it's just absolutely devastation everywhere you look. And there's besides Samaritan's Purse, we've also seen the Red Cross out. We've seen a Mennonite church is in this house working right now to get the wet insulation cleared out of there. The area still has no water. So the only water for these neighborhoods are the bottled waters that the charities bring in. And then there's some tanks of water also for people for washing. Dan, how many staples do you think you've smacked into this floor so far today?
Approximately 4,332.
I'm getting how many you got to go?
About 285.
Well, you're making some progress. And how many have you swept up?
2.
But you've got all the other debris that comes out from when all the paper that he smashes out from underneath the staples,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And drywall, tar paper.
Mud. There's lots of mud.
And did you get the critters up in the attic?
We have we're gonna have to wait for the professional weasel wranglers to come in because Raymond didn't want anything to do with them.
W squared. Weasel Wrangler.
Yep.
Now,
were those
nasty, especially when the mother's in between you and the
baby.
and the babies.
Yeah, you don't want to get in between a mama weasel and a nest of babies.
That's for the next video. To be continued.
Were those knee pads a pretty good investment?
Outstanding.
Good.
It took two paychecks to buy these, one for each leg, but it worked out well.
And Eric, how long y'all been in this house?
Too long.
And
Day and a half.
so we got there's 2 rooms that we had to cut the lower part of the drywall out.
We actually started yesterday, and
In the basement.
in the basement there were about 4 inches of mud.
Yeah.
We're able to get quite a bit done today. We're hoping to finish up today, so it was about a day and a half job.
Good. Yeah, I was just speaking with the homeowner, and he said that his car went floating down the street, and he really it's a really traumatic experience for them. So
Did he tell you about his 3 boys?
yeah.
He was home alone upstairs, and
Uh-huh.
some type of a bulldozer with a big bucket.
Yeah.
He had an 11-month-old, 4-year-old, and 7-year-old.
Yeah.
And he was trying to decide if he had to swim, which one of the 3 he would save. And fortunately, it didn't come to that. And the bulldozer came up and the 3 boys were rescued in the bucket, and then he was able to get rescued as well. So
Yeah.
it was a happy ending.
Yeah. For him it
When
was.
came for you, the
So
bulldozer?
it's really good.
All right.
Thanks, Eric. And here's some more garages and buildings that were just swept away by the current. Cars were just floated down the street. So we're here in White Sulfur Springs. We're with Samaritan's Purse. We're helping the flood victims that have been devastated by the floods in West Virginia. And this is Tim, and he's going to tell us a little bit about where he's at, what he's been doing, and start out with telling us where you're from, Tim.
I live in North Carolina.
Okay.
Again, my name's Tim Hill. I've been here for since last Tuesday. Today is Sunday, so I've been here for 5 days. It's the opportunity came up. A friend of mine who has been real active in Samaritan's Purse asked me if I wanted to come, and I jumped at the opportunity. I just thought I knew when I got asked that it was God's will for me to come. I was saved 4 months ago, and since being saved, since turning my life over to the will of God, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, my life has changed completely. And since coming here, we've been able to assist a lot of people in this community, and the stories are just overwhelming of the love that this community is sharing with each other now that wasn't present prior to the devastation of the floods. One story in particular was a gentleman shared with us that there were all different sides of the tracks. There were the affluent, the poor, and that everybody stayed on their side of the track. But since the flooding has happened, the victims of everybody has come together. He said young children that would prior to the flooding would be vandalizing things in the community. Now they're walking down the streets with wagons filled with water and helping the old people and coming by and cleaning up things at other people's homes that they don't even know. Just giving freely of love, and that can only be demonstrated because of God's being in their life. Since being here, the feeling that I have is it's like my feet are touching the ground, but I don't feel it. It's a feeling. The community constantly tells us thank you, but I thank them for allowing us to be here, because I get more out of helping them than we're ever going to be able to give them.
So a lot of people are looking at this flood as really like a big curse, but it sounds to me like for you, it's been a blessing. And as far as bringing the community together, it's been a blessing. So there's sort of this rose in the middle of the storm, isn't there?
Correct. I just wrote a part of a poem that said something about a lot of people think that this flood was the devil's curse, but if it wasn't for this devil's curse, supposedly, they would have never been able to be witnessed to by the volunteers of Samaritan's Purse.
It's fantastic. Well, thanks so much. These are just the remnants of houses. And then you can see in the background, there's the cross on the steeple. Sign of hope for everybody. Stick right there. If you can like, because a weasel's long and skinny, and if you can
get one end and the other.
around its
No,
neck
you guys are kidding again. This is dumb.
And-
There's no way
and,
this weasel.
and spin this, and you hook it up. And got the cages out there. We're gonna bring the cages in. You just bring them. You just hand me the pole down with the weasel in the wrangler.
A weasel would definitely get out of that first off.
And then I'm gonna hand this to Dan,
Dan, what did you
and he'll
want?
put it in the cage.
Turkey's
And they're babies, so
Okay.
if you see the mom, just abort the mission and get out of there, because you don't want to get between a mom weasel and a nest of baby weasels. Where you going, bro? You gotta. You're the designated weasel wrangler, aren't you? I'm not as thin and agile as you.
Eric.
I cannot. This isn't something for somebody.
Is that what you
I'm
want?
past my weasel wrangling age prime.
They're pretty quick.
I know.
They're wily.
No weasel in West Virginia.
Yeah, they're
Of course. Nesting material. You know, it's kind of like a little furry. It's made out of. They chew their own fur and lick it. Okay.
well.
I guess we'll just have to get some professionals in here then. This is the bridge that was turned into a dam by all of the houses that were floated down this creek. And the water wasn't able to go under the bridge anymore. And so this was part of what flooded the surrounding areas. It just, all of the floating houses damming up on this bridge just turned this entire area into a reservoir, pushing all the water back upstream and flooding the surrounding streets.